Hey guys, welcome back to the channel once again. I am Robert Storms. If you're a Star Wars fan like me, I think we really need to sit down and start thinking about the future of this franchise, of the brand, because some of the things I see going on right now is really starting to worry me about the future of Star Wars, the franchise that I love so much. Yesterday, the trailer for Star Wars Resistance Season 2 hit on the internet, and in the trailer it said the conclusion of this series. So they're concluding Resistance in the second season. Definitely a red flag popped up. And the reason for it is you look at Clone Wars, you look how many years Clone Wars has went on. In fact, they're coming back with Disney Plus with another season. You look at Rebels, went 4 seasons, probably could have went longer, but Dave Filoni wanted to end it, and he wanted to go ahead and work on other things like The Mandalorian. Now, when Resistance first came out, it got a lot of backlash. People going like, this is all for kids, this is all kiddie-ish, this is stupid. And I was one of the ones that I was like, hey look, I'm gonna give the benefit of the doubt. I didn't too much care for the art style of either Clone Wars or Rebels, and I gave it the benefit of the doubt. And I watched the first 3 episodes, and I have to admit, it wasn't for me. I like the art style, but it is directed toward a younger audience. Now, I'm not one of these Star Wars fans that feels like everything has to be for me. They need to make Star Wars the way I want Star Wars to be made. I want the OG trilogy. I want the prequels. Like, I'm not one of those Star Wars fans. I enjoy new stories, new tales. I like the sequel trilogy, although I have no idea what the point of the new trilogy is. I still enjoy the movies for what they are. I can usually find the good in anything Star Wars related. And I was actually looking forward to Resistance coming out on Blu-ray so I could actually sit down and binge it. And then when the trailer hit me, I was like, let me go ahead and take a look at this. I want to see if they go maybe down a darker tone in Season 2, and maybe they start to get a little more serious, because even though it was directed toward children, I really wanted them to kind of just pick up the story element. And I watched the trailer, and the trailer doesn't look like it really does that at all. It looks like they go into a little bit more of an adult theme, but then they hit you with the conclusion, and it's very clear that it's being canceled because nobody wants to watch it. Nobody I know is talking about Resistance. Nobody's talking about it, and that's not a good thing. When Rebels came out, everybody was talking about Rebels. Oh my God, you see Obi-Wan versus Darth Maul? Did you see Ahsoka versus Darth Vader? Did you see what happened with Kanan? There was so much going on with Rebels and Clone Wars that people were invested. They brought in Thrawn. There were so many good things. And Resistance didn't have any of that. And then when you take the fact that they're canceling Resistance, and then you look at how Disneyland Galaxy's Edge is a flop, you start to worry about the brand. And I'm going to talk about the Disneyland Galaxy's Edge thing another time, because there's a lot of stuff I want to get into with that. But it doesn't look good, because if we look at the recent 3, there hasn't been a lot of Star Wars out there, but you look at the last 3 things that Star Wars rated came out, we pieced together that it's not looking good for the franchise. Solo came out, Solo bombed, lost the studio money. Galaxy's Edge came out, guess what? It's not doing so well. They're cutting people's hours over there who work there. They're not even getting full 40 hours. They're cutting their hours because there's not enough attendance there to make up the warrants more people to work there. So Galaxy's Edge is kind of falling apart. Then we look at Resistance, and Resistance is being canceled after 2 seasons. So the last 3 Star Wars things we've gotten have all failed. There has not been a successful Star Wars thing since Rebels and Episode 8. And we know that Episode 8 really divided the fan base, and now it's just kind of trickling down, where they're starting to alienate the hardcore Star Wars fans. And I think that really has something to do with Kathleen Kennedy and how she's running it. I understand you want to push these new characters, and I'm all for new characters. I mean, I'm the guy who read, Aftermath, the Chuck Wendig Aftermath trilogy, my favorite trilogy in the new canon, which is all new characters, except for like Wedge. It's all new characters. I love them. Battlefront 2, Item Versio, I love those characters. And so I'm all for new characters, but you have to keep the essence of Star Wars alive. It's like they don't care about lightsabers, Jedi, the Force, everything that as a kid makes you want to love Star Wars. Yes, as an adult, I love the rebellion, I love the politics, I love all that as an adult. But as a young kid getting into Star Wars, I'm all about the lightsabers, the Force. You know, I used to run around with a flashlight, you know, pretending to go woom, woom, woom. You know, you can't do that today. It's like Kathleen Kennedy and Lucasfilm is trying to bury the Jedi. And even with the current movies, the Jedi is sort of like sort of like behind the door thing. It's like, we'll talk about it, but we're not really focusing on it. And a show like Resistance, I feel like you really could have played on that. You know, this is taking place a few years before Force Awakens. You could have really, you know, brought in like Luke Skywalker, filled out like what he was doing with Lord Santeca, you know, Ben Solo going to the dark side. They could have took that premise and just like Rebels lead into something bigger. Rebels season 1 was good, but the season finale, when they introduced Ahsoka, and then season 2 Darth Vader, and they started connecting Clone Wars stuff, that's when the show took off. And I just feel like they failed with Resistance. And there's no wonder why they're canceling it, because it's not grabbing the audience. Because Kathleen Kennedy isn't giving Star Wars fans what they want. But that's just my thoughts on it. I'm not very surprised that Resistance is being canceled after 2 seasons. I don't like the track record I'm seeing. I do think Rise of Skywalker is going to do pretty decent. I think it's going to reach over 1 billion. Whether or not it's going to catch, you know, Force Awakens, Last Jedi numbers, that's yet to be seen. But if you're a Star Wars fan, you have to be kind of concerned about some of these things that are going on. But I want to know what you guys think. Be sure to leave your comments in the comment box below. Until next time, as always, I'm Robert Storms, and that's my opinion.